Today's story comes from someone who discovered that sometimes the person you think is your greatest enemy can unexpectedly turn into your strongest ally. I never imagined I'd one day feel thankful to another woman for tearing apart my marriage. But life, it seems, has a wicked sense of irony. My name is Ryan, and this is how my wife's affair led to a partnership I never could have predicted. Natalie and I had been married for 12 years when everything unraveled. We met in college, married right after graduation, and built what I believed was a steady, happy life. She worked as a marketing coordinator for a tech company. I was an accountant at a mid-sized firm, and we shared a cozy suburban home with our golden retriever, Buster. It wasn't extravagant, but it was ours. The warning signs were there. Of course they were. They always are, right? Late nights at the office became common. She suddenly had business trips that didn't seem necessary. A new focus on her appearance, which she brushed off as just wanting to feel good about herself. Her phone, once left lying around the house without thought, was now always by her side, face down, always face down. But I trusted her. After 12 years, you don't throw away a marriage over doubts and gut feelings. At least, that's what I told myself as I watched our relationship quietly crumble from within. The breaking point came one Thursday in October. Natalie claimed she was staying late to meet a campaign deadline, but something in me made me drive past her office around 9 p.m. The parking lot was empty except for the security guard's car. Her car wasn't there, and clearly hadn't been for hours. That night, I barely slept. When she came home at 11:30, smelling faintly of cologne that definitely wasn't mine, I knew. But knowing and proving are two different things. I wasn't ready to blow our lives apart over suspicion alone. 3 weeks later, the truth dropped into my lap. Natalie was in the shower, and her phone sat charging on the nightstand. It lit up with a text from conference room B. Even with the screen locked, I saw enough in the preview. Can't wait to feel you again tomorrow. My hands shook as I tried her passcode. Not her birthday. Not our anniversary. Out of desperation, I entered Buster's birthday and the phone unlocked. What I found shattered 12 years in under 30 seconds. Months of explicit messages. Photos I wish I could erase from my memory. Meetings arranged around my work schedule. Hotel bookings. Lies about where she was and who she was with. His name was Derek Morrison, and he had been more than just a co-worker for over 8 months. I took screenshots of everything, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Then I placed the phone back exactly where I'd found it and sat in the living room until sunrise, staring into nothing, trying to understand what my life had become. The next morning, I printed a handful of the messages and set them beside her coffee mug. When she came downstairs in her robe, the color drained from her face instantly. "Ryan, I can explain," she began. "Don't," I said, raising my hand. "I know everything. I have everything. The only question is, what now?" What followed was the most gut-wrenching conversation of my life. She cried, apologized, begged me to forgive her. She insisted it meant nothing, that it was just physical, that she loved me and wanted to fix things. Then she said something that cut deeper than any of the proof I'd found. "Derek understands me in ways you don't. He makes me feel alive again." That's when I knew we were finished. Not because of the sex, not even the lies, but because she had found something with him that she decided she couldn't find with me. And maybe she was right. Maybe we had drifted apart over the years without noticing. But instead of talking to me, instead of trying to repair what we had, she chose to start something new with him while keeping me as her backup plan. I told her I wanted a divorce, that I'd already spoken to a lawyer, and that she had 1 week to figure out where she would live because I wasn't going to share a house with someone who'd lied to my face for 8 months. She moved out that weekend to stay with her sister. The house felt empty without her, but for the first time in months, it also felt honest. Buster seemed puzzled at first, but dogs tend to adjust faster than people do. The divorce began right away. I had enough evidence to make things very uncomfortable for her, and she knew it. Her lawyer urged her to settle quickly and fairly, which she did. We split everything down the middle. She took her car, her personal things, and that was the end of 12 years, boiled down to legal documents and divided property. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, that's where things took a surprising turn. 2 months after Natalie moved out, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. The woman on the other end introduced herself as Claire Morrison, Derek's wife. "I think we should talk," she said, and something in her tone made me agree to meet that afternoon at a downtown coffee shop. Claire was nothing like I'd pictured. She was probably in her early 40s, with natural gray streaks in her hair and weary eyes that hinted she'd been dealing with this far longer than I had. She ordered a black coffee and got straight to it. "How long have you known about Derek and your wife?" she asked. "About 2 months," I said. "You." She let out a humorless laugh. "Try 2 years." While I had been blind to most of Natalie's affair, Claire had known almost from the start. But instead of confronting Derek right away, she had been quietly gathering proof, documenting everything with the patience of someone who had been hurt before. "This is the 3rd time I've caught him," she told me. Every time he swore it would never happen again. And every time I believed him, because we have 2 kids, and I thought keeping the family together mattered more than my pride. But this time was different. This time, Claire had decided she was finished playing the understanding wife. I've been collecting evidence for 18 months, she said, sliding a manila folder toward me. Inside were financial records showing hotel and gift purchases, credit card statements, recovered text messages, photos, even surveillance footage from the hotel where he met Natalie. It was more proof than I'd ever gathered, thorough, organized, and damning. Why are you showing me this? I asked. Because Derek doesn't know I'm aware of your wife, she replied. He thinks I only know about his earlier affairs. But I've been tracking this one closely. I know when and where they meet, what they talk about, even what they're planning for the future. That last part hit me like a blow to the chest. Claire's expression hardened as she spoke. Derek's been telling Natalie that once their divorces are finalized, he's leaving me for her. He's promised her they'll be together officially once you're both free. He's even been looking at apartments for them to move into. Hearing that cut deeper than I expected. Natalie hadn't just been having an affair, she had been building a future with him while dismantling the one we had built together. Then Claire said something that completely shifted my perspective. The truth is, Derek has no plans to leave me. He's told me he wants to work on our marriage. He swears all his affairs are over. He's even talked about renewing our vows as a symbol of a fresh start. I stared at her, trying to absorb what she was saying. He's lying to both of us, I muttered. Exactly. And I'm done being lied to, she said firmly. But more than that, I'm done watching him hurt people the way he's hurt me. Your wife doesn't deserve what he's planning to do to her. Even if she doesn't deserve your forgiveness either. What she proposed next was one of the most morally tangled situations I'd ever faced. She wanted us to confront Derek and Natalie at the same time, exposing every lie in a way that left Derek no room to twist the truth. I want to invite them both to dinner at my house, Claire explained. Derek thinks it'll be a romantic evening where I tell him I forgive him and want to start over. Natalie thinks it's the night Derek finally admits our marriage is over and asks me for a divorce. The plan was both elaborate and brutal. Claire would serve Derek's favorite meal, set the table with their wedding china, and even open a bottle of wine from the year they married, making it look like a reconciliation dinner. She would have folders laid out with every piece of evidence she'd collected over 2 years. Proof of every affair, every lie, every empty promise he'd made to multiple women while telling his wife something entirely different. My role was to arrive during dessert under the pretense of returning something Derek had left at my place. I'd bring my own proof of their affair. Claire would then present hers, showing that Derek never planned to leave her. It would destroy his facade in one blow. Natalie realizing she'd ruined her marriage for a man who was never going to be hers. And Derek learning both his wife and his mistress's husband knew the full truth. It was cold, calculated, designed to humiliate all of them in a way they wouldn't forget. But after months of being deceived, betrayed, and made to feel small, the thought of reclaiming some power was intoxicating. I agreed. The dinner was set for a Friday night in December. Claire spent days preparing, cooking Derek's favorite dishes, polishing their finest tableware, and creating the illusion of a wife trying to save her marriage. I parked a block away at 8:30, waiting for Claire's text. When it came, my hands trembled as I walked up to the house. Through the window, I saw Derek and Natalie at the dining table, glasses of wine in hand, smiling in a way that twisted something inside me. Claire opened the door with a razor-sharp smile. Ryan, perfect timing. Derek, look who dropped by. The look on Derek's face was worth every ounce of pain I'd endured. Natalie went pale, her wine glass slipping from her grip and shattering on the floor. What's going on? Derek stammered. Claire was already moving toward the table, where she'd spread out folder after folder. I thought it was time we all had an honest conversation, she said coolly. Derek, you remember Ryan, Natalie's husband? The next half hour was 30 minutes of relentless truth. Claire walked through her evidence piece by piece, documents, photos, recordings. Derek tried denial first, then excuses, then finally sat mute as everything collapsed around him. Natalie cried, but they weren't tears of regret. More humiliation and rage as she realized her future was built entirely on lies. When Claire revealed messages where Derek swore to her he'd ended all affairs and wanted to save their marriage, Natalie looked at him with pure hatred. The evening ended with Derek storming out, Natalie calling her sister for a ride, and Claire and I sitting in her kitchen with a bottle of wine, processing what had just happened. Feel any better? She asked. I'm not sure, I admitted. Do you? I feel like I can finally move forward, she said. For 2 years, I've lived knowing my marriage was a lie but couldn't bring myself to end it. Tonight, Derek made that decision for me. The following Monday, Claire filed for divorce. Derek tried to reconcile, first with her, then with Natalie, then with another former mistress, but his reputation was ruined. Word spread among coworkers, friends, and family. Eventually, he moved to another city, but the damage was permanent. Natalie and I never spoke again. Our divorce was finalized 2 months later, and she moved across the country. Mutual friends later told me she spent a long time in therapy, facing her own struggles with trust and commitment. Claire and I, though, became unlikely friends. Not romantically, just two people who'd weathered the same storm and understood each other in ways no one else could. She helped me through the loneliest nights after my divorce, and I helped her navigate single motherhood after Derek walked away from his kids. Looking back, I still don't know if what we did was right or wrong. It was cruel, and it hurt more than just Derek and Natalie. But it was also brutally honest, something sorely missing from everything that came before it. Sometimes the truth is messy and painful and spares no one, but it's still the truth. 3 years later, I'm with someone who values honesty over comfort. Claire has found peace as a single mother, providing her children with the stability they deserve. Derek is somewhere in another state, hopefully learning, though probably repeating old mistakes. And strangely, I'm grateful it all happened. Not for the betrayal or the hurt, but for the clarity it brought. I learned I'm stronger than I thought, that I was settling for less than I deserved, and that unexpected alliances can guide you back to yourself. Natalie's affair destroyed the life I thought I wanted, but freed me to build the one I actually needed. And Claire's revenge didn't just uncover Derek's lies. It revealed truths about all of us. Sometimes, destruction is the only path to rebuilding. Sometimes, everything has to fall apart before something better can take its place. That's my story.